I Know Nothing But Miracles. Walt Whitman Speaks to the Modern World. First edition, Revision D. Written by Joseph Leo Hickey III. Published by Melodium House. Cover artwork by Michael Thompson. Narrated by Joseph Leo Hickey III, the author. This book is the intellectual property of the author. The print version was originally published in 2020. This poetry book contains the writings of a fictional version of Walt Whitman, imagined as if he had lived in the early 21st century instead of the 19th century. This book is dedicated to all those who, in error, declare poetry is dead. I know nothing but miracles. Breathing, walking, crawling, coming back to the cycle from where we started. The page we wrote, now erased and laid barren. Let new poets come and fill these pages with new words. Let those who understand nothing and everything come here and write. All equals within this one cosmos. Come and let us write. I assure you, as the dearest friend and confidant, that though you believe in miracles, I know nothing but miracles. I see little miracles drop from the skies. I see miracles in sighing when you do not have enough money, and in walking down the street where strangers who will never be known by you walk. And when you do not speak, it is a miracle. When you speak, a miracle, a life fulfilled, purpose met, love promised, and love opened and relived. In every miracle that I see, in the limitless space of emotion, breath, joy, and universes, a nation that has become swallowed in its own great welcoming of strangers, in the thousands, throughout every generation. This nation was an example of hospitality for all, so that when we welcome another, we welcome all. And when we stop, we understand that time has become an engine. This engine marches on, telling us we are to die in every moment. We are born anew, falling headfirst into an ocean of blue, away from the light but possessing all things in the arms of hospitality. As we complete our fearsome journey, as we descend into the night, as the ship parts the waves, as the ghosts watching guide us on our journey, how even the leaves of grass will speak to us and tell us what to do next, to avoid the disaster that might befall us. I remember your life and the lives of all in a single moment. I embrace you, and when I do, I become multitudes, one of the many thousands of lovers who have passed away. And they still have returned, because no one who ever lived ever really dies. When after the fearsome flight, in the darkest of nights, away from the creatures that seek your soul, you, though bloodstained, have survived, and greet your family. And when you greet them, you embrace them and embrace all, and you fall into their arms. The love you always wanted to feel when you sat and dreamed, sitting on the lawn in front of your home. You dreamed about lives you could live and places you could go, and if there would ever be love in your life. But there is love, and there is joy in the multitudes. There is life everlasting in the moments when we wait at night for the silent hours to pass. As you meet your lover at night and hide with her, and no one else knows you are together. But they will not find you, and they cannot find you. Some things, yes, I admit, are even too great for me to lose. However, do not argue concerning God. I, who love all, do not argue about God. I behold God in every object, and every valley, and every precipice, and every hidden corner. Yet I understand God not in the least. No array of terms can tell you how at peace I am about God and about death. Nor do I understand who there can be more wonderful than myself. I am glowing brighter, and I am exuding the light that guides the nations. I have love and breathe it. I have pain and love in the greatest of charities. In all these moments I sit content, and there is nothing under heaven or in hell that I do not carry with me. I carry the joys of heaven and hell with me. The first I embrace warmly as a friend, and the pains of hell I translate into a new tongue. I do not rest. I am here waiting for all of eternity, unto the ages of ages. The mania of buying things and of selling things burdens me. The depression of being alone in an empty room burdens me. The nights and the classes in which I am lectured about worlds that I do not understand. I learn all things along with you, and I follow you, though your footsteps are light. They are solid and present a clear path forward through all the adventures. You experienced them. I have experienced them too, at the same time as you. I have felt heartbreak and unfathomable oceans of pain. And yes, I have felt joy that covers the stars and recreates the worlds. I have heard and made music. I have completed masterpieces of art. I have had the plague and struggled through the turmoil of the disease, and I have died from this disease. I have also walked away from the pain of this disease and made a complete recovery. The sunrise, you see it, and I see it too. You watch and wonder when love will come. But love has already embraced us and carried us far away. And we will never lose anything truly. We can only gain and experience and fathom. From Ontario to Utah, I in my desperation run with you and fall headfirst into the ocean, where I understand you and never stop understanding you and fathoming you. Like a bride to a groom, there is truth and gratuity, gratitude and salvation. There is decadence in the celebration, and there is joy in the celebration. Of lovers united and found each other after 1,000 years of separation. Let this book be a new Bible, what is needed most on the shelves of your libraries. I have walked through the snowy streets of New England for the 1,000th time, and in walking there is the feeling of strength, in wondering how the food I eat gives me strength, in wondering what the difference is between now and eternity, and if we have eternity now, or if we will ever attain anything like it, or if it will always be so distant that we can never taste what eternity is like, or if it will be peaceful at all, or if it will be only darkness, only shadows, and only waiting for what can never be touched. Have you seen the ones who are dying? Have you been to those hospital rooms? Have you ever wanted to be so close to the nature of humanity that you could not think of leaving your own shell? I have love within my soul for all those who are suffering, because I waited there, I watched. I saw her in a hospital gown, and the plans we had made were gone. As the life left her face, as we became distressed by the disease, threatened by the wars, controlled and then agitated. And then finally, we were up in arms, ready to fight the battles. But we never fight these battles alone. If you want to know anything about why pain exists, ask a child, consult with the stars and the passing breeze, because my answers will be no better than theirs. And if you gain these answers, come at once to me. For I have always wanted to understand what stuff we are made of, and where we are going, because I am not contained between my hat and boots. Consult the stars and the passing breeze if you want to know what lies we have been told, and if the truth will ever be known. If you would understand anything about the depth of the hours that are passing, you would have learned more than all the scholars in the universes. If you have compassion, know that I have not only felt compassion, but I have felt exasperating joy of love, pouring out of me that I would never contain, even if I tried to contain it for the rest of my days. How can anyone contain their charity? How can you not give yourself whenever you give? I ask nothing from the world except to fall headfirst away from it, and to find other worlds, where we will be in perfect union. If you crave a connection to something better than what you know, come and greet the rainfall, and come and find joy as we stand underneath the waterfall. You will understand truth when you understand your own imagination, and your own longing, and your own desire to help those who are surrounded by despair and who are falling into doubting that they will ever have the life they wanted, a life where there is love and stability, reconciliation and depth. When midnight comes, I am up and weary from tears, from the domestic abuse, from the pain of memories destroyed, from the promises broken and never mended. As the time passes more, we lose what we craved more than anything. The poet will never stop feeling. The poet will never stop expressing. The poet has an imagination bigger than any who have ever spoken before. The poet is here, and his time is now. In these states and over the airwaves of the nations, many do not listen to the poets, but at the same time, pain is destroyed when the words of the poets were spoken. In every classroom, in every nation, a peace that begets experience, and an experience that proceeds from understanding. When the poet lost the one who he loved, he wrote words like tears that flowed from a pen instead of from his eyes. His words overflowed, and then the ghost of love stayed here on this planet forever. The friction between what we feel and what we want. The news I read about not only a nation in turmoil, but a world in flames. How in this moment we become desperate to fall into the arms of someone who cares. When in this moment we grow into new persons. When we are faced with the desperate choice to stay or to leave forever. When our futures now and forever were always drenched in gasoline. I am not far from you, though I have never met you. The soldier, after coming home from wars, turns the news on and is silent in distress, knowing that the world is a more dangerous place with each passing day. He also knows that he is not far from another war zone, and that this war has followed him wherever he goes. The priest offers incense and prayers for a nation that has neglected its people. The dictator walks through the streets of the country subjugated by him, and he will eat while his people starve. The time passes while I can hear the clamor of so many armies. The time passes while I can see visions of promises that will never be fulfilled. I feel the time passing, and there are lovers, separated on opposite ends of the world. And we are all connected. We will never be separated if we tried. And they have grief that tears through their souls. And this grief eats away what was left of a shallow life. Eats away the pain, eats away the heart, eats away the soul, eats away all charity, and burns until it tears through the body and makes them too depressed to move or to do anything again. When poetry is more valuable than life, mercy is better than justice. When you understand my words and believe them too, and you are not threatened by those who would burn you. The Inquisition too presides over a trial. They present the heretic for burning. Words long forgotten, words like love your neighbor, I imbibe into my soul, and I sing it like an anthem, which you understand when you come face to face with a death you fear, when you meet people who hate you, and they do not know anything about you. We judge others before we know them. We do not even listen to them. And then you are found dead on the bathroom floor. A death that grieves your family, until eventually they move on and forget you. But not everyone forgets you. I have felt the pain you feel. I have taken your hand when no one else did. I have called your name from far away. An endless field of grass in front of me, and my hands reach out as I walk, feeling the dreariness of this morning and the sounds of the birds. The ghosts between the places where I thought I would see the consequences of this passing time, but instead are ripples that echo forever, with the same existence they have always had. They never leave here or forsake their original intent. All find their purpose. All arrive at exactly where they need to be. Opposite equals always advancing, craving their own fulfillment, while writers sit with their ink swords in hand, telling stories about what they feel, and all others will feel, but have not felt yet. They hang their weight upon me, and will never falter. Those lingering in green fields with cameras and pounding keys on their fingertips, they create a portrait of the time that is passing, the moments that all the other worlds have forgotten, the dreams which countless souls held as meaningless, the charades of passing time in which we stand, held in the arms of our own families. They know that in the sound of the human voice is comfort. Hearing the voice of your own brothers, and you hear the birds in the early morning, knowing you are not forsaken, but instead you find untranslatable joy, filling rivers and lakes insatiably and mercilessly. When you stand pensive and silent, when you have held your sword so close to your hands, when homes are burned down and destroyed, I invade all these spaces. The soldiers harness their carbines and prepare to fire. The soldier is shot, finds himself away from the world he had known, and spends the rest of eternity seeking his loved ones, while his fiancée descends into fits of depression, waiting for the end of despair. And I greet a stranger on his deathbed. From all the rest, I single out you, having a message for you. My friend, you are to die. I cannot lie to you or say this will be easy for you. I am exact and merciless, but I love you. There is no escape for you. I sit quietly by. I remain faithful. I am more than nurse. I am more than parent or neighbor. I absolve you from all except yourself. Spiritual, bodily, that is eternal. You yourself will surely escape. The corpse you leave will be but useless. Through so many expressions of speech, words eloquent enough to fill prosaic and antiquated books that ramble on about everything that you study in med school and in business school, while I study the stars and study the passing faces of strangers on the Greyhound bus to the new city. Do not forget that silence is also expressive. As I sit beside you, saying nothing, I know we are more connected than you would ever dream. I know we are more united than we could ever understand. As the runner drinks in water after running, so long and growing so strong, the relief he feels will be like the expression of silence, of so many goodbyes, so much sighing, lying next to your husband breathing silently, in the silence of the nations going to war, when no one stood up against the violence. Yes, I will be that silence as well. I do not discriminate between the right and the wrong. I emphasize all sides equally. I am the poet of joy and the poet of life, but I do not claim to not be the poet of death and evil and disaster. I flow through all sides equally and filter them through myself. Come, such verses for the body let us write. My own love, my own joy, my own nightmares, all proceeding and existing in or emanating from me like a glowing orb. In this you will find my book, the clash of kingdoms and the war of nations that precedes the end of days. Presidents did not regret their decisions or lust for power. How you can flow through these nations during this time when the world is on the brink. I tell things in secret. I might not tell everyone, but I will tell you. There are moments when gratitude floods the world. There are moments when the world is more divided now than it will ever be. When we do not understand that none of us are divided. That we falter in the night after walking blindly. We linger in places we never wanted to go. We find miracles where we would never expect them. We chase dreams we believe to be unattainable and follow the multitudes as they try to find a place in the world. In the morning, hearts are broken, and they are mended only in time. Life has become unrhymed poetry, as each hour passes without telling us why, or if it knows the effect it has on us when it vanishes. Another day spent waiting, and I celebrate myself. And what I assume, you shall assume, because every atom belonging to me, as good, belongs to you. I invite you to understand that if we are not the tying and the untying of the riddle, we are nothing. If we are not here to remember what has not passed away, we are nothing. If we are not the beginning of hope amid our greatest despair, then the world will never be colder than it is now. I am faithful. I have not lost you. I did not give out. I sing of myself and of you. Places of worship, empty fields, universities, slums, which I walked through alone. All of these you know, but these are close to us. I have not left you. You know my name. I am Walt Whitman, liberal and persistent as nature. During the day I will never exclude you. During the night I will never exclude you. I accept everyone, equal and worthy as myself, because in a dream we have become the same person. I have a message for all slaves in nations far away, and for the master of every slave, for the preacher teaching his flock, for the one who listens but does not understand why he believes, for those praying in mosques, for the temples in a long-forgotten time, for the choir that sings hymns of praise and thanksgiving. But what makes us different? What is a man anyway? All I know is who I am. Now 26 years of age, I begin to write, to paint an imperfect portrait of the world the way it is. Shut not your doors, proud libraries, because I have made a book. What is lacking but needed most on all your well-filled shelves I bring. A book less than all in stature, but greater than all in power. Listen to my simple words, the book that defines who we are. The kelson of creation that holds the universe together is love. And I know that you are my brother. And all the women who are not heard are my sisters and lovers. I stand in the New York City streets. I am a citizen of the city. What interests those here? Religion, politics, power, money? However, I do not ask anything of them. I do not ask anything, except that they understand the words I write, that they listen to the words I say. I travel on buses across the United States, hoping that you will understand. From Maine to Virginia, I am suffocating. I go to many funerals, and I visit those facing death and dying to remind myself that my lungs are only here for a temporary amount of time. My dear friend, one day your heart will stop, and you will not get away. And who truly knows what happens when we die? I'll be the first to say that it is just as good to be born as to die, because the sun will always rise, the new day will always dawn. Though the earth is thousands of years old, the world will never end. We believe our nation will never be destroyed. We are too delusional. We are too carefree, and we will weep together when we realize what we have lost. When my voice is not heard, and when yours is drowned out, we know what is stirring in humanity now, which will speak about who we are in reality. I am ruthless to all with charity. I walk down the street across from the school, memories we have, but will never come to life again. We cannot imagine who we will become. We have become so comfortable with who we are, but nothing lasts forever. So many stories we will never hear. The day I die, I will not be afraid because there is nothing painful, nothing I fear about death, but at the same time the sorrow it fills us with is unbelievable. The strangers I have seen and will never see again. We look each other in the eye, but then we are gone. The sound of the early dawn. What is stirring within human nature? From the crowded streets of New York to the empty but not forsaken meadow, the road goes wherever I choose to go. I ask nothing of you. I ask not for money. I ask God for nothing. I ask him not for good health or good fortune. I myself am good fortune. In the quiet meadow, the depths of the hours are passing. In the quiet meadow, the depths of the hours are passing. We live in an ocean. We believe we die alone, but we will never be alone. Here in this solitude, in this meadow, where I am the only human soul, I feel at peace. I feel at peace alone. I feel at peace in my front yard when the missionaries come to my door. I tell them what is needed to be heard most, what they have not discovered. I am at peace when you lay beside me, such a transparent summer morning. It matters not who you are or what you have done. I do not despise you. Henceforth we will understand that we are not separated. We are here together as long as you breathe. I am in love with the taste of the distillation. The house is full of perfumes, but I keep your creeds and schools at bay. The distillation of the perfumes could intoxicate me, but I shall not let it. Have you heard the news? Have you been keeping up with what is going on in the world? What does it mean to waste your time? I pass you by in the street. I write every day about myself on the internet. The only place I am lonely, and the only time I am heard. When everyone is giving me their attention, and when we are told where to be. Have you thought about the earth much and what it means to breathe? Have you thought about what you felt when you took your first breath? Did the air ask you to pay for it? God is among us. God is generous. God is my beloved brother. God is my own beloved sister, and today we live. Tomorrow we will certainly die. But my God is watching over me.